Good afternoon, welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, my name is Reese 4Piece from KFC or Wookie Triple XL, and in today's review, I'm having a look at the Arctis non-wireless. Now, when I told I was going to be getting the Arctis non-wireless for review, I was quite excited because I was just coming off of the Steelseries Sensei 10, which, if you're just joining us now, is pretty much the best mouse that I've used in the last sort of 10 years. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The new TrueMove Pro sensor is phenomenal. The build quality shifted up a lot. Steelseries was back, as it were. They were back to the former glory days, and I thought this would be more of the same. So starting off with the package, what is in the box? Well, you get obviously a headset, being this guy here complete with retractable microphone. It does go back quite nicely into the headset. So you get obviously that with its headband. Then you do get a little wireless dock station, as it were. And the reason I call this a dock is because it's actually got an audio pass-through on it, which is incredibly useful, I must say. When you're done with your headset, whatever you have connected to this, whether it be speakers or another headset, etc., you can literally just turn these off and then the pass-through will activate and you'll be able to use your audio device off of here, which is quite a nice little touch that they've put on there, I must say. It's also got a PlayStation mode, so it can be then connected to PC and PlayStation because it is compatible with both. And then they do give you a nice little micro USB cable for charging, complete with a little Steelseries logo on it. In case someone tries to steal it, at least you'll know that this one is a Steelseries. Everything is nicely rubberized as far as the cabling goes. The only thing I don't really like about this is this angled USB, because when you connect it to the back of your PC, it then blocks the ports below it. So it's a bit of a strange one. And like if you're using it at the top, you're going to block a USB right below that. If you're using it at the bottom, you're going to block some of your audio ports. So I think that just should have been straight. That's really the only physical thing that I would change about these headsets. Well, at least about this portion of the experience of a wireless headset. So putting those to the side, speaking about the actual headset itself, it's got a couple of interesting functions built into the headset that you can change on the fly. For instance, on the left ear cup where the mic is retracting from, over here there is another little dial. This is not a volume dial, directly a volume dial. It's actually for your chat and game balance. So if you can't hear people in Discord because your game's too loud, you can actually adjust it on the fly, which is kind of nice. It was a little bit confusing when I first put it on. I didn't know that it was doing that at all, and I couldn't hear anybody in Discord for a good 5 minutes while I was running around trying to find out why it wasn't working. But when I did get it to work, it then was perfectly adequate, and the normal balance point does have like a little ridge in it as you're adjusting. So without even having to look, you can tactily find the middle point, which is quite nice. Then there is a volume slider on the other side, complete with a mic mute and unmute. Out is on the mute and input is for the mic to be active. Then you do have the Bluetooth and power connectors below that, and then the charging port, as well as a 3.5mm jack. This is actually an input jack because you can run these just off the 3.5mm. So if you've got male to male 3.5mm coming in through here, and then you could connect it to the headset theoretically from there, which is kind of cool. So if you do run out of battery in the middle of a game, you can just connect them up and carry on gaming. Nice little touches for sure. Now, I've been, as I said, exposed to Steelseries from literally day dot of them being around. A very good friend of mine was a pro gamer in the South African Battlefield and CSC, and he pretty much always had the latest and greatest as far as mouse and headset goes, and he had a Siberia back in the day. They also used to do this suspended strap across the top kind of a vibe, except it had wires or cables on the one side, and those used to break actually quite a lot, and was a reason for a lot of those headsets ultimately dying or being thrown down a bin or in a cupboard, was because of that. And you saw a lot of people with Steelseries Siberia headsets with tape around them. The overall audio quality of those as well were very tuned for gaming. All the mids and stuff had been pushed up, and your highs and bass was often actually quite lacking on those old headsets. These though are more of a spiritual successor to like the 9H wireless, which were extremely high end, extremely expensive, but they lacked quite a lot of volume, all things considered. These have a lot better volume in them. The only real criticism I have about the physical layout of the headsets are where they've decided to put these buttons. When it's on your head, tactically it is quite nice, or tactile feedback tactically. In the tactile feedback department, it is quite nice to sort of just reach up there and they're right there. I think they would have been better just pushed a little bit further down, because every time you take the headset off, your thumbs inevitably run over the buttons, and it sometimes can be sort of intrusive, at least until you get used to it. After a couple of hours of using it, I didn't really have that issue anymore, but it still bumped every now and then. I think if this had been set just a little bit further down, it might have been a little bit nicer as far as that goes. But audio quality and volume, which we'll get to in a moment, are significantly improved over their previous generation stuff. And then speaking on that audio quality, when I first took them out of the box and connected them to the PC, I was a little bit, well, perturbed, to be quite honest with you. The overall audio quality was more or less what I would call the Bose effect, where it had highs and a lot of its bass channels actually marked up. They tune the equalizer so that it's got higher bass, slightly lower mids, and then up on the other side. And this is a very attractive environment to the ear, and it does sound quite nice. But if you're used to a completely flat environment as I am, then it's actually a bit off-putting, and certain audio sounds and distancing on audio, because of it having a lower volume in a flatter area, can be quite intrusive. And these are toting DTS 2.0, which is a sort of a selling point for them. But I'll be honest, it's kind of a gimmick, and I think that SteelSeries realized this as well, because when I did the firmware update, I then saw that you could disable DTS natively on the control panel. I've seen a couple of other reviewers where they weren't able to do that. So that's quite a new software and firmware update, and it applies to both the dongle and the headset. That was actually extremely seamless as well. Just literally click of a button, go away for a few minutes, come back, and everything's ready to go. But when I disabled DTS and I had them just in a flat audio profile, that was significantly better, to the point that it literally changed the whole path of this review. I was going to be like, look, it's good wireless and it's got good Bluetooth. I mean, the wireless is fantastic. You can the 12 meters that they're toting there is very realistic. I've got mega thick walls. This is like a 40-50-year-old house, so it was built double thick with an extra C. It's got a triple C on the thick at the end of it. That's how thick these walls are, and it traveled there absolutely no problems. The Bluetooth technology as well can be toggled on by default, and then you can have simultaneous inputs on it, so you can have Bluetooth coming in as well as wireless from your PC, so you can play songs on your Spotify on your phone while you're in game, which is pretty sick. I have to say that you can do that, and then as soon as you finish with your PC, you can literally just walk away and it'll stay connected to your phone, and then your mic, everything works through the phone as normal, and you can have phone calls, etc. But I digress, because the audio quality on these went from day to night. I re-listened to all of the music and everything that I use for testing. I went and replayed games, and it was way better. The problem with DTS is it's a technology designed to amplify audio that hasn't been spatially positioned. So if you take something that is spatially positioned, like a game like Counter-Strike for instance, which has fantastic audio, even in stereo, it has fantastic audio positioning. If you hear a footstep in a certain area, you can tell which height it's at, where general noise, etc. is coming from, absolutely no problem. But DTS tries to re-replicate that, so it ends up putting the sound either way further or way closer than it actually is, and that can be quite interfering. I'd say it's better for movie watching and that sort of stuff, for media. You can definitely get some use out of it, but do you need it? Absolutely not. By default, it's completely disabled on the PlayStation, for instance. But on PC, you have to then install the software and then disable it from there. Now, the only thing about these headphones that I didn't really like about using them, and I feel it could have been done a little bit better, was actually how they've executed this microphone. The microphone itself and the way the boom works, etc., is absolutely fantastic. If I turn them on quickly, you'll see the mic actually turn red because I've got it disabled at the moment. There we go. As soon as I re-enable it, it turns off. All of that is fantastic. The problem is the mic quality itself. It's been Discord certified, as it were, but it's more of a chat mic than anything else. You're not going to be able to like stream with these headsets just with this microphone. Not that you would really want to, right? But I think for people buying new streaming setups and stuff, they'd like to use the mic that's provided with the headset. This isn't going to be good for that. You'll still be quite clear through to people as you're doing callouts, but this is a very chat-centric microphone. It's more industrial than it is gaming, as it were. The way that this has been set up it gives me that kind of industrial sort of feel. The one thing that did help it out tremendously though was applying a little bit of RTX voice, or in my case NVIDIA broadcast, because I'm lucky enough to have an RTX graphics card. So I put it through RTX voice or the NVIDIA broadcast, and then it was significantly better. All in all then, Steelseries Arctis 9 wireless. At first I was quite against it. I thought the price point was off for the quality of the headphone itself. Everything build quality wise was pretty good. The sizing though, I really don't like headphones that don't expand on the sides. Just for personal thing is I have a massively wide head, so you can see this is sort of pushed right to the edges of itself, and the headband being the only point of real adjustment that you can make. Like I say, for me it's not fantastic just because of the size of my head, but if you've got a normal person size head or slightly larger than normal, you should be absolutely fine. I cannot buy a cap and wear a cap that has been made for basketball and NFL players. That is how big my head is, okay? Just to put it in perspective. So they are pretty light, all things considered. I like that the headband's got some torsion in it. I really like that it's got the rotation on the ear cups because people have different shaped heads. So then this will contour to the shape of your head quite comfortably from there. So all in all, Steelseries Arctis 9 wireless. Like I said, at first I was like, perhaps not. The price point was a little bit high for the audio quality. Once I disabled DTS, it literally became Aladdin and there was a whole new world, okay, awaiting for me. These are actually really good, I have to say. They came out quite fantastically. The sponge and the cushions and the cups and everything, the headband itself, like the quality is the one thing that Steelseries has dialed up quite a lot. And I'm very happy to see that, to be honest, because they're making exceedingly competitive products once again. Anyway, that is all we have time for in this review. If you have enjoyed it, then hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the flip side.
Cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are, and I'm gonna
Good afternoon. Yay! This is a one-man show!